Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to another event of Startup Grind. I see a lot of faces who have been here in the past, a lot of people who are joining us for the first time. So, just to share a bit of background about Startup Grind Pune. So, Startup Grind Pune is part of the Startup Grind community, the global community that exists to foster startups, foster ideas, and how people can learn from each other. So we are a pretty large community worldwide with headquarters in San Francisco and around 200 plus chapters in different cities. Personally, I, Praveen, and Pratap, we have been part of fostering the startup and community of Pune, and we have been doing these events since 2015. At every event, we look forward to sharing new ideas and new things that are happening around us. So we have hosted a lot of founders, both successful and failed entrepreneurs as well as people from the enterprises, people from various backgrounds. And this month is so special. In June every year, we basically celebrate women in leadership, and it is one of the reasons that we're having this panel today with four really great ladies who have done some fantastic job in their careers, and we wanted to share your stories today. So let's start with a round of applause with some energy, and a round of applause for you guys because it's Saturday and you were able to get up and come here, and you were able to figure out the right address. So kudos. Because yeah, that's what. So when you go back, maybe we'll still find people in circles. So, so thank you so much. So as we proceed, I first of all also wanted to call out our sponsors for today. So the venue sponsor, Idea to Impact. I have Khushi to share about Idea to Impact.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And as he rightly said, finding the direction for this office is quite tricky, but thanks for making it. So I'll give you a little bit brief of what Ideas to Impacts and Primus does. So I2I Hub is a startup incubator. We are a B2B SaaS startup incubator, and we also house a startup fund by the name of Pentathlon Ventures, where we fund early stage tech startups. Primus is an SAP implementation partner, and Primus and I2I collectively have launched a new vertical by the name of Enterprise Garden, where we are scouting for SaaS-based startups whose software we can integrate with SAP, and we can serve a broader audience, and we can also serve corporates who are looking for niche solutions. So this is a brief of what we do. We can definitely network after the session ends. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Khushi. And so, without any further delay, why not we get started? And when we spoke with the audience, you already know the expectations. Apart from your business card, they're also looking for a lot of learning. So let's get started. Why not we start with a quick round of introduction? And let's start from the person right next to me.
Thank you. Thanks, Ayush. It's an honor to be here today. So first of all, like Ayush said, kudos to all of you to show up on a Saturday morning. Right? So thank you for that. My name is Pooja Keswani. I'm based out of Pune. I'm working as a product owner with Hilti Technology Solutions. I've been in the IT industry for more than 20 years now. Started off as a software developer, had a typical software development career path, progressed into project management, delivery management, and then I realized that my interest lies in the business side of things. And that's when then I transitioned into product management. So that's what I do for a living, and that's my passion as well. And happy to be here and looking forward to a great discussion. Thank you.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Sheetal Sahasrabuddhe. I am a director with Barclays. I have been in banking throughout. I worked for organizations like Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Credit Suisse, Barclays. I'm a technologist at heart, did my engineering and worked on a variety of technologies. But I kind of call myself a hustler. I've done so many things, though in banking, though in investment banking. I've worked for front office, I've worked in middle office, I've done reg reporting, I've done several things. So I think I'm a problem solver. I enjoy challenges, so I don't stick to sort of one role for too many years. But very excited to share my experience and also exchange business cards. Yes.
Thank you, Ideas to Impact. Thank you, Startup Brain, my Buzzer team for organizing thing. And thanks a lot everyone for coming on Saturday morning. When I was driving to this place, I noticed it started raining, probably raining after a long time, and I thought, okay, today there's not going to be any audience. It's probably just a small get together. But thanks a lot, guys, for coming down. And what will make this really impactful is questions from your side. So I'm looking forward to a lot of interaction during and after the actual discussion. To talk a little bit about myself, my name is Amita Mirazkar and I come from engineering background. I've done software engineering from Pune University. I have studied in different places before doing the engineering. So I claim a lot of cities as my cities. Come from Aurangabad, Latur, Pune, and I lived in Phoenix, Arizona for quite some time. So I claim Phoenix also as my hometown. It helps me connect with a lot of people. Uh, After doing software engineering, I started working for a product company in their professional services arm. It was named Selectica, one of the really good employers at that time. Worked for a few years here in Pune, and then we decided to go venture outside. We moved to US, worked there for a few years. We, really enjoyed the culture there and formed some great friends and came back to India. Excited to share my journey today. Excited to meet new people.
Hi, it's 12, so good afternoon all. I'm Dr. Sonal Modi. I'm from MasterCard. Technologies at heart, have done my engineering and have been in the industry in the space of technology and learning and development for last 25 years. Uh, what's important over here is to see so many people, as everybody else said, that it's raining and still people are here. But more importantly, co-creating collective intelligence that we get to see in such kind of forums is very important. As a speaker, I go to any event just because, not because I want to share my thoughts, but there is so much to learn from others as participants, as co-panelists, etc. So thank you so much for inviting me over here. Uh, Currently at MasterCard, my role is I'm heading the Global Enterprise Technology Academy for MasterCard engineers. So in my role, I have to be responsible for developing the technology capability of our engineers at MasterCard, developing products. We are a broad tech organization, so having that product bent of mind, building best of products, understanding what we are trying to solve for a customer, and then building that kind of capabilities is something which me and my team do together at MasterCard. I'm looking forward for this session and sharing my experience. Let's see how it goes.
Hello everyone, this is Manisha Katke. I am Chief Marketing Officer with Mindbazaar. I come with again over 2 decades of experience in marketing. Worked with companies like Synchron and Icertis and Tevisca. And I'm here to learn from these lovely ladies whom we have invited. And thank you so much all to come here on Saturday morning. Look forward to an interesting discussion.
Okay, thank you so much for getting things started. So let's start with somewhat going deeper in your background, maybe if that helps us keep the foundation for the conversation today. So I'd like to connect the dots further in terms of we know that you had your careers now and probably worked hard and got to where you are today. But where it all started, any anecdotes anybody of you would like to share? What made you say choose technology or choose the companies that you are in, or what led you to those choices? You want to start?
Sure. So what led me into technology? I wish I had a fancy story to tell here, right? So when I finished my 12th, right, I did not score in 90s or anything, right? My score was like a humble 85 or something like that. And I remember my uncle who used to who was passionate about me doing something in my studies, he took me to a commerce college, made me stand in the line for commerce students where I met other my friends who said, "Oh my God, Pooja, you're coming back to commerce, or you're coming to commerce," because they knew 11th, 12th I was in science, and I said I cannot do this. So I just ran away from there, and I said that it's okay if I don't get into any engineering or anything. I'll just do my BSc, but I'm not going back to commerce. And that's where it all started, because Bachelor of Computer Science was something which was very new in the city that time. And I went ahead and gave my entrance test, and I was amongst the top 10 people in the city, and I got into modern college, and I finished my BCS there. That's where my love for technology started. And then again, I was amongst the top few after I finished my graduation, and the next step was doing my master's. And I got into a very good institute, and I completed my master's of computer science, and I topped Pune University that year. So that's when I realized that this is something that I want to do. So that's how it started. I got placed into a company called Harbinger Systems, which was a very small company those days, started in Kothur, about 60 people there. And from there, then I got opportunities in bigger organizations like IBM, Amdocs. I worked for a lot of these global corps, and then switched into where I am now. But like everybody else said, technology is at my heart, right? So that's what my love is. So that's my story about how I got into technology.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought what I wanted to do. Like all kids, you really don't know. I used to study Ferguson 11th and 12th, and then I had biology and I had maths. So I was not sure whether I want to be a doctor or an engineer. Literally, I had no clue. But I was very good in maths, and for whatever reason, those days I think a graduate in maths was really not looked up to. So I just I was like, okay, fine, let me just see what engineering is. And I actually didn't do com science, I did electronics and telecom. So until my first job, I really didn't know if I enjoyed coding or not, right? But I got placed in Morgan Stanley, and that's where my love for coding started. And absolutely, as I said, I've worked in variety of technologies, done variety of different roles. But I think even today, if I want to upskill myself, the first thought comes in is like, what technology can I learn? So I think over the years, I think I've that love for technology hasn't gone away. So yeah.
That's great, lovely to hear. I also don't have a very fancy story. However, I think a lot of people from our times will have similar stories. So, my father is a doctor. We come from family of medical professionals. So by default, kids go to medical schools, right? So I chose PCB biology in my 11th standard just because of the background and limited coaching available at that time. And there was no internet or anything. You just watch your immediate, elders, and then you lean towards that, right? So I chose that, and something happened at the end of 11th standard. Maybe I was missing maths. I don't know what else happened, or maybe I didn't want to become a doctor because I saw so many doctors in my life. And I had a misconception that doctors have to work late night and others don't have to work late night. That was wrong. But something happened end of 11th standard. I chose to change my stream. I came back to PCM, and since then I've stayed in this stream. And then it was a very natural carved out path at that time. Not too many options for career. Not too many popular options. So chose computer engineering. Started meeting more people. Started seeing more things, and was again only at the end of the degree where we did internship with the company. We actually got to see how can technology help real business use cases. And since then, one thing led to other, and another thing led to other. We started seeing a lot of use cases, started seeing the power of technology, how it really helps us as consumers, us as people, and enterprises and companies and community at large. And it's just fascinating the development that we've seen from then to now. And I'm really proud to be in this field, and really proud to have seen all these experiences that has led me to like technology, stay in technology, and meet wonderful people around.
So for me, it's slightly different. Well, I come from the engineering background, but after 10th, I did my diploma in industrial electronics. And that was by choice because many in the family had done that, and they said that you will get grilled and you become a true engineer when you practically do a lot of stuff. And I'm truly amazed to tell you that that has turned out really true for me because in those 3 years of diploma electronics which I did in Swami Vivekanand Polytechnic, Chembur based, basically from Bombay, so I did it there. And then the kind of development that you do, technically, hardcore kind of engineering that you do, and how do you learn by doing is something which I got from there. And unlike others who do 12th and then go for first year of engineering, the diploma students have an advantage that they directly get into the second year of engineering. And that's how I did my BE in electronics. So, like she did, until I finished my graduation, I had not touched technology. But after that, there were a lot of programs that I did, which was like NIIT based kind of software engineering and a lot of other programs. And somehow I saw that there was an innate inclination towards developing something, doing something challenging, a nerd kind of DNA, kind of getting built internally. So that's how was my engineering journey. But when my first job was into software, Comet Solutions was a small time company, a startup company where I started. And then before coming into the learning space of technology, I have deep dived and dirtied my hand being a software engineer, a project manager, a delivery manager, program manager, and then get into the learning space. Somewhere there was an internal flair for facilitating sessions. And that's how my first overseas job in Singapore was as a technical facilitator for a lot of banks, the DBS, the DOSH, and many others in Singapore. So every time I was with technology, learning something new and delivering that, and practically doing a lot of stuff. So that built interest in that area. And eventually I saw that gradually electronics had kind of totally sidelined, and the technology space was picking up in my life journey. And that's how all my jobs were all revolving around technology, building capability, delivering solutions. I did my stint in SAP HR as a functional consultant with a technology background, a lot of other stuff. So it was from electronics, from diploma in industrial electronics, which is totally different from what we do in software engineering, to a degree in electronics and to a real career deep diving into technology areas. I've never done anything outside of technology in my last 25 years of career. But getting that hands-on experience of dealing with people, dealing in technology, doing something new every day, taking up challenging tasks, as something which has developed me and made me successful till date. That's my journey.
That's great to hear. I guess no matter whether you chose it or you ended up being what you actually did, what is important is that you did that with full commitment, and that's why you are here. So I think that really counts. So that brings us to the next question, that which would be very helpful for the aspiring leaders who are kind of sitting here, who have come to listen to you, is that throughout your journey there must be various challenges and barriers which kind of you faced to reach where you are today reached. So if you could throw some light on those challenges and barriers which could really help the audience also kind of learn it and carve a path for themselves and be someone like you.
I agree and be very honest about it. However, passion is something which will drive you to be into that particular journey. There will be a lot of hard-hitting situations that will come through your life, but what is important is, first of all, please try to understand your self-worth. Ensure that you are equipping yourself with all kind of skills that is required when you are venturing into any kind of new job roles, anything that is in the tech space. Do not have this imposter syndrome which typically we all have of, will I be able to do it? The moment you have will I be able to do it as a question cropping up in your mind,
I will do it, I'll work towards it. If that's the attitude, I think a lot of things become simple. There have been challenges when you enter into the world of technology and when you have men leaders, basically. And I'm not trying to do a bias related conversation and digress towards that, but I'm telling that there are many leaders who are into that particular fraternity and you're entering into that world. Today it is not a big thing. If you look at statistics, we are still low. We are just at 33% globally when it comes to women tech leadership positions that we hold. However, we have evolved in this space. And that evolvement, you can evolve only when you are in the space, you are ready to take up the challenge, you are assuring yourself that you are ready to work hard towards it, equip the skills that are required, do the right kind of networking that you need, mentorships. Don't be afraid of learning something new, failing, and do not have that kind of inhibition that should I do it, should I not do it? Will I be able to do it? I will be able to do it. Many a times that has come across even in my pathways in this last 25 years. But the only thing is that take it slow to move fast. Be calm and composed, see what's happening. Retrospection is very important. It's not always about a blame game that I'm not getting opportunities. Okay, so there are some kind of underlying questioning that you have to do to yourself that are you ready? Maybe you're not 100% ready, but are you 80% ready and ready to get to that 100% by once you get the opportunities? So try seeking that opportunities, but before getting onto that opportunity, see that you have equipped yourself well. You've learned, you've spoken to people, you've networked, you see that you can work towards it, and then you will move forward. So there are challenges, there will be roadblocks, but nothing is impossible to solve. There are times when you have to take the setback and then move forward. That is what I would advise. So I think it's this discussion will go endless if we talk about challenges. I've seen many challenges like you all have, and you've summarized really well. Sonal, thank you for doing that. I think I have a plus one for everything she said. Um, and I can't think of any particular example, but then yeah, I've seen a lot of challenges, whether they are about dealing with difficult situations, dealing with difficult people, dealing with problems that really seem like there are no solutions, but you have to just keep going. There's not enough importance we can give to the spirit of continuing, the spirit of grit, staying on something, making sure you take it through. I've seen, if you all mostly come from software background, we've seen problems, production issues, war rooms. We've seen, bugs affecting multiple users, and at that time you're sitting in a room trying to solve the problem. So there are technical things to figure out, there are interpersonal things to figure out, there are problems of exhaustion. People have been working for long hours and they don't respond in the same way as they normally do. So constantly you have to just remind yourself that problem solving, getting objectively to the end state is what everyone has to do. And I've made a lot of mistakes. I was a lot more impatient earlier. As I progressed in my life, I became a lot more patient. I developed empathy. I have seen places where I was not as mature in responding to situations. My friends were open enough to tell me, or my family members, or anybody. So, learning from feedback, from cues of feedback, is extremely important. When sometimes you are lucky that somebody will come and tell you that this is wrong and this is how you should look at it. Sometimes you're not as lucky and you have to learn from cues. You have to learn from hints or body language or other clues about what to change in your approach, how to deal with the situation and all that. I will emphasize one more point on, in addition to what Sonal said, is that self-confidence. Right? Fortunately, I come with very high self-confidence about can you do something. I think if you put your heart and soul, every person is capable of doing anything. Thanks to my parents, thanks to my support system early up in upbringing, growing up, I got this inbuilt in me. You don't have to have overconfidence in skills that you have not developed yet, but you should have very high confidence that you can develop the skills. You can pick up an area, whether it is completely new to you or something. And we live in this golden era that we have a number of resources available to be utilized free of cost, and many available with paid, you know, subscriptions or anything. So learning has really easy these days. So that's one thing I tell everybody, that confidence level is something that you have to work on yourself. You have a very high confidence that you can solve problems, you can solve challenges, and perform.
Covered most of it, so I'll keep it very short. So as a person, I enjoy challenges. Like that gives me a high anyway. So I think every challenge has taught me something. But I think three or four things in, like, I'll just keep it quick, right? So one is empathy in people, right? You shouldn't be stepping on people. I think as organizations we should ensure that our people are fine, right? So any challenge around, any sort of challenges can be sorted out if the people are in the right frame of mind. So I think focus on people. What has also helped me is I have always worked in the breadth of the organization. So I've worked in so many different areas that over the years it's given me a different perspective to solve problems. So I work a lot with students, and I always tell them that you there are different ways you can make up a career. One is you grow vertically in the same area, or you work in the breadth of an organization. And luckily, I've got that chance, so that has taught me a lot. So I always tell them, like, try out different things. You'll fail, but keep trying. Network, this the power of network is, that can solve a lot of challenges for you. So ensure that you sort of network well and speak up. I think for me, what has helped is that if any sort of a challenge, if I've been honest and I've spoken up, I think that has also sorted out things. So I would say these three or four things.
So of course, challenges, like all of my fellow friends here said, they are quite valid. And challenges are more like our own personal journey, right? I'm sure everybody here does go through some or the other challenges, whether you're a woman or a man. It's part of our job. It completely depends on how you take them and what you make out of them, right? So in my journey, I have gone through some challenges. Not sure if particularly because I'm a woman, I think it could happen to anyone, but then one specific kind of a story that I can narrate is one of the organizations, I wouldn't name it now, but I was brought in to lead a team or take care of a project which was already escalated. And there was a colleague, of course, a man colleague who was asked to step out because the client was not specifically happy with the way things were going in that service, and that's where I then stepped in. So it was a team of about 8 to 9 people who were supposed to report to me, and I was now supposed to take care of that. I saw a list of issues piling up, all escalated high priority ones, whereas the team was completely, how do I say it, at peace with them. Like, issue came up, they used to all go down for tea or a smoke, and I used to sit there at my desk wondering when are they going to come back and take care of it. That's when I decided that now I need to change things. This is not going to work. So it took me 8 months to build a completely new team. That's when I got into hiring a lot of people. I went with my gut feeling based on my assessment of people, and was fortunate with the help of my team that the project or the module I was looking at was awarded as the best improved service. And the client came to India, they were in Indonesia, then they came to India and they called out our names. So that is something that I consider as a success story. Of course, I was not alone, I did it with my team. But I know the kind of stages that I went through, from the phase where the team really did not care about what was happening to a stage where we met all the SLAs, and not just met, we excelled them. Now, that year was the year when I was expecting a promotion because of what happened, but it did not. Somebody else was promoted. And that clearly to me was a signal that the values were compromised, right? So I don't know if it was because of me being a man or a woman, maybe it could have happened to a man as well. But that's when I decided to take my step and then I moved out because I put in my best, I delivered more than what I was supposed to, but I did not see that being valued like the way it should be. So these kind of challenges I think are going to be opened up to all of us. It is completely up to us as to what do we decide to put up with versus where do we decide now it's time to upskill or do something else or to go to a place where you are valued enough. So I think this is all very personal. But like all of us said here, right? Be open to learning new skills because if you don't, then you become stagnant in your own and you have nothing new to offer to your organization or whatever you are doing. So keep upskilling, keep dealing with these challenges and introspect as to where is it that you could do better. So that's what I have to say.
It's a funny thing, right? So all of these guys in the teams, I was like probably the only girl in that team, like it's a junior developer then. And all of these guys used to go for tea and smoke, and nobody used to ever ask me. And I used to be like, where are these people and where are they going to come? So it's a very common thing, but I think eventually, they started, we all started hanging out more, but that got sorted. But I think the chai story is a very common experience for a lot of women.
And this is in Kolkata that I was talking about. So you cannot do there, whatever is the season, whether you're sweating, it's raining, you have to go down for a smoke every half an hour, no matter what's happening around.
So, guys, you have kind of shared many of the challenges, which of course remain common as well. But I really wanted to ask a very specific question related to women from your experiences. So, looking at the positive sides of being a woman, I wanted you to share the superpowers that you've realized being a woman while working. So, one to the other women that are here in the audience, help them realize that these are the advantages for you, and then there are, let's say, men in the audience. I want you to share from the perspective that, okay, you have, let's say, women team, how you can use that to a better, map with the superpower. So what have you realized that, that is really worked?
Yeah. So I'll speak about women in leadership specifically, right? Since that's the topic for today. From my observation, or when I have been leading teams, people have been reporting to me and so on, I think women are natural leaders. And with all due respect to the male participants here, it's not that men are not good leaders, but I think women have certain, you may call it superpowers or qualities, which makes it very inherent for them to get into leadership because they are more inclusive by nature, very collaborative. I think they are less hierarchical. And I would like to call this a superpower that we tend to understand more about the person, even when they are not explicitly saying something. We kind of realize or understand what is it that they are trying to say, right? From the body language, from the clues, we tend to read between the lines, whereas men are more straightforward, right? Whatever is told, it's like black and white, right? If he's saying this is true. If he's not, then this is not. But women can take subtle clues, and that tells us what's going on in the minds of our teams, and that helps us then lead them to the common goal, which leadership is about, right? So I think that's why we are better at even handling conflicts. From the same example where I was leading this team in Kolkata, whenever there were conflicts, people used to talk to me one-on-one, and I knew what motivates them, right? So I used to play on that. Like, if this is something that's important for this person, let's give him that. Okay, this better sixth sense is what I think. Whereas men, I don't know, for some reason, do not tend to see which is so obvious to us. I don't know if you guys would agree. You want to
Say two things, right? So one is, I think, with the complex brain that women have, we can look at a lot of things which probably men would miss out, right? So, like SAQ hai, do you think this person is doing this to me because of, I think just because of the complexity that we have in our brain, we don't look at things black and white always. So it sort of helps, in leadership roles because, you get a lot of different perspectives to it. And I think this is a very common advantage that women have is we multitaskers, right? So when I'm in office and I'm in an important meeting, I can still at the same time think what is it that I'm going to make in the tiffin for my daughter the next day, right? So it's like, we can naturally multitask. There's like several compartments in our brain. So I think that helps. But yeah, I think it's tough, right? So, no matter what you say, as women leaders, it's never easy because one, you probably one of them, in that room, and there are all these men, but and they think most men think the same, and you would probably think slightly differently. So it's always a challenge, right? So I won't say it's very easy, but I think it's fun. I mean, I really enjoy sort of working with more men, and it's always a different challenge. But yeah, these are the two.
Thank you, ladies. So I am a believer that women don't have any superpower compared to men. I think every individual kind of gets their own superpowers based on their background, their upbringing, the society they have lived in. Some people come from minority group. Either the group could be based on gender, like women are in minority in technology industry, so by default, there is hunger to grow. By default, there is also oftentimes you get more support, more attention. Sometimes it is not right, but sometimes the bar is lower for progress. It should not be like that. The bar should still be high, and so on. uh, Either the minority group could be based on a group or a caste or region or anything, right? So anytime you're in a minority group, you have hustle in your approach and you work harder, and then that becomes your superpower. The willingness to do things, the willingness to grow, the willingness to get ahead and get the normalcy status in the society is what separates you from others. And that this could be a man, woman, or anybody else. So that's what I believe. Uh, However, there's biological differences, and the evolution has just so happened that the responsibilities men follow and women follow in families and homes and societies are different, and hence I think you said the brains are complex in different ways. uh, the fact that one becomes a parent and one becomes responsible for more than yourself helps individual grow. So I think anybody who becomes a parent, and if you're a mother, you go through physical hardships and not just the mental hardships. You go through your own coping in addition to taking care of the younger one, and then again you have family to take care of and all of that. So that prepares you in terms of empathy. That prepares you in terms of understanding others, patience, seeing the long game through working hard and so on. So I think that is definitely one superpower that naturally women have, ability to nurture other lives and take learnings from that experience into leadership in our roles in organizations. So that's something that I would like to bring up.
I think most of the things are covered, but I go back to the same point, the way females are wired, and couple of things like the compartmentalization that we can perspective and optics that we can bring to a particular situation uh, turns out to be advantageous in multiple ways. So my humble request to all the males in the room would be that if you have women in your team, leverage them for all these kind of positive capabilities that they hold, and guide them towards growing and skilling them and giving opportunities to them in the tech environment. And for the women in the room, we have that kind of superpowers. I agree, because there are multitasking that we do, as she rightly mentioned, when you are in a business meeting, boardroom meetings, but you still are compartmentalized. Somebody needs medical help back home, somebody needs, a parent teacher meeting, multiple other things. Then we don't get, I'm not saying that we don't get panic attacks. I'm not saying that we will not become fidgety around certain situations, but the way we will still manage and conclude and bring a solution to all these kind of things happening at the same time is an advantage that we bring to the table. So I think we should work on some of those kind of skills that we have, or some of the blessings that we have in disguise. At the same time, the men can leverage us, for leverage the women team members to the best of their ability and give them opportunities. That's the thing that we could do. There's a lot. One of my mentors in the background, in one of my past organizations, said that when we came out of a boardroom meeting, some discussions, some heated arguments, and he said that when women enter into boardroom and when they get into that tech leadership space, the only thing that they have to be aware of is don't change your principal value systems as well as the benefits that you bring to the table being a women leader. So what happens is eventually there are multiple such cases, and I've seen in my women leadership circle as well. When you tend to get into leadership roles, you also slightly start becoming like the men leaders, the male leaders, and you try to kind of bring out that kind of. But many of us have to be kind of thinking about the advantages that we bring to the table, and do not lose the focus of those positive spirits that you bring into the room. You can still be standing tall as a tech leader with all those kind of empathy that you carry, the way you can look at different topics and lens to a given situation, etc. Bring those kind of composure, etc. And he said that I love women who are in their natural best, and I agree to that fact. When we become leaders in the tech space, we definitely have to be competitive, but there is absolutely no need to change the original texture and DNA that we carry, is what I believe. That has helped always, that will continue to help us, but it's both ways. Please leverage the women power that you might have in your teams, is my humble request.
Those are great superpower tips from Superwoman. I guess you're absolutely right. And there's a saying that behind every successful man there is a woman, but it's vice versa as well. I guess the support system plays a very important role. So today I'm sitting here, so Ayush, you're doing a good job. That brings me to the next question, which is typically asked to every woman who kind of achieve some success, is that how do you kind of balance your work life and personal life? That's a typical question which is asked. So in my case, what I have learned is prioritizing plays extremely important role, because you can't cut off or switch off and switch on. Things kind of keeps playing. You're a human being, so it's very important for you to prioritize. And if you prioritize, then it allows you to focus on certain things, right? At that point of a time. So we'd love to know that how do you do that work-life balance.
I totally agree with your previous point that you need to definitely have a very strong support system back home. These days, you would see that gone are the days when it was all women-centric household kind of stuff, and then you go on the top of that to jobs, etc. I'm blessed with a great support system. My husband, my kids who are grown-ups now, but they have been supportive always. I have been a working mother ever since, and there is a guilt that I carry that I had to start work after my first maternity within 18 days when my child was really very small and needed me. But there was a very strong support system that came from my husband and my family, wherein I could sail through that. So the support system is really, really very important. Second important point that you said, prioritization, very important. And third, many a times we get into this race of being glorified workaholics. I think over a period of time I have realized, and I take very candid efforts of not getting into that bucket. Otherwise, it's like, finish it off, do it off. I have this, I have that, and a lot of other stuff, and work will continue to happen. But there's no point of being workaholic, when you are a family-oriented person. There is no, don't get into that glorified bucketing of being workaholic always and feel proud about it, because you have life beyond work. Work-life balance is important. Prioritization is very important, and make the best use of all kind of ecosystems, networks that you have
in order to manage these compartments well, you might not get it all. And Indira Nuyi has said so well in her book, right? Being at that kind of stage, and if she went through all those problems, we are just small flies in this entire universe, and we will go through the same kind of problems. And only thing is dealing with it with minding place, prioritizing, letting go something which is really not important, and focusing on something which is really, really important. I think we need to make that classic differentiation, compartmentalization, and work towards it.
One thing I would say, right, if you enjoy doing what you're doing, you can literally, like, it's not a complaint at all, right? I enjoy cooking for my children. I enjoy taking their studies. So even if I just have that half an hour and I need to probably sleep less, I just enjoy doing that. So I enjoy running. I enjoy dancing. So it just doesn't stress me out in that sense, right? So I think what the key is, if you enjoy what you're doing, I think you can literally, women can manage anything. So I think that's what I would say.
Very well said, Sonal. I totally agree. If you enjoy something, you would not feel stressed. I'm sure all of you have realized this, that the days you work very hard, but then you come back home happy, you'll feel that you're not tired at all. Whereas you might have not done anything throughout the day, but you were stressed about something, you just feel like hitting the sack, right? That you don't want to stay awake any longer. So enjoying what you're doing is very, very important. For me, work-life balance is a myth. I mean, I don't think there's anything like that. Like you said, we keep asking that to everyone, but there's nothing like a balance. It's always that some days your personal life will be very demanding, where you have to put in a lot of energy. Yes, exactly. And then some days your work will be very demanding. You have deadlines. You have to ignore what's going on at home and then just be where you are. Right? So being able to being flexible, being capable of handling these situations is what takes us ahead. And of course, support system. I also have a good support system, but that doesn't mean everybody has it, right? And there will be people who would not have very supportive families. But like Amita said, that put your foot down. That this is what I need to do. I need my time to, because this is for your own sanity, right? This is something that you want to do for yourself. So it's your responsibility to yourself to make sure that you find that time for yourself and do what you think is important. Other important thing is have a vision for yourself. Don't just go with the flow or the way life or your career takes you. If you know that that's the position that you want to reach to someday, maybe you want to start your own organization, maybe you want to become a vice president, or whatever you want to do, have that vision for yourself and work towards it. Because without a vision and just complaining that I'm not getting enough time to do what I want to is in vain, right? So knowing what you want to do and also being okay with certain things not done. Like today, if my home is unclean, I'll get to it on the weekend. Let it be there. You cannot be a perfectionist. If you strive for that, then you'll always be stressing yourself. So those are some of the points I wanted to highlight.
Great. So, guys, since when you started your careers, you were part of organizations, going up the ladder, learning. Some experiences would have been great, some may not be so great, and then now you've reached a point where in your own company you are in the driving seats, for example, to build a culture, to build a culture that really supports women in tech, that really supports the growth of every individual, and so on. So, what I want to ask you guys is from your own experiences, if you were to advise someone today that, okay, hey, if you want to create a positive culture in your organization that supports women growth or that supports diversity and inclusion, these are the things that you need to do, or these are things please do not do. These are just being overstated, please do not do so, and so on. So, any examples that you'd like to share or any wisdom?
So for me, I'm not sure if I can say specifically anything for people who are women in their team. Skills come first for me. So if I have a team that is women and men mix, the first thing I see is what is it that their strengths are, right? What is it that they bring to the table? When you're in technology, of course, technology is the center, right? You have to be good at what you're doing. That's something which you cannot compromise on. So if I have a woman team member who is extremely skilled but is having some other challenges, I would like to speak to them and understand what is it that motivates them, what is it that the organization can do for them to encourage them. Are there any challenges that they are facing where, say, they want to work from home, say for example, for some of the occasions. So then that shouldn't be held against them. Like, there's a policy, you cannot do that. But I think that leverage should be given to people or our employees who are bringing value to the table. So being considerate, being empathetic, not going just by the rule. I have seen some of the managers, like you say, right, lakir ka fakir, that this is a rule, you follow it no matter what. So whether you're an employee who goes beyond their duties and they're trying to do something for the organization, you give them that leverage. I have done that in the past with my teams where I had people working even during festivals which were so important to them. So I take a note of that, and then there are situations when they are going through a health condition and they want to stay back at home, I give it to them. I don't then say that because there's a 60% attendance or whatever it is, you don't do it. That's not, I think, how any leader, yeah, you have to, because you have to see, whereas there are people who take advantage of these policies, right? So I think it's more like a one-on-one case basis that you have to, so it's a balance, like, what can you really let go of and what is it that you hold on to. I think every leader has to take that call in their own way. But that's where the maturity of leadership then comes in.
So I would say two things, right? I believe in diversity of just not gender, but thoughts, skills, culture, all of that. So when you build your organization, you should not only look at gender, but you should look at all the other aspects. But having said that, I think having having the right amount of gender diversity in an organization is extremely important. So I would say two things. One is mentorship for the women. I think we should go that extra mile to provide that, because I think women by nature sometimes are subdued. They don't speak up enough. They're sometimes not confident if they've got that right skill to do certain things or not, right? So I think that right amount of mentorship for women is extremely important in an organization. And from a men perspective also, I think you need to mentor them in a way in terms of how do you deal with diverse, it could be culture, it could be disability, it could be gender specific, right? How do you, like if you have a lead, with more women in the team or whatever, so you should provide that reverse mentorship for your leads as well in terms of how to manage a diverse team. So I would say these are the two things that, organizations should look for.
Lovely points, very good points. I believe your question was towards how to run diversity programs or the experience around it, right? I think combination of these two. So since we started our company, we've been very particular to maintain diversity of thought process, and that can be facilitated by bringing people of different gender, different ethnicity, different religions, geographies, schools, and different professional background as well. Because you all know, if you hire only from a certain company, they will all come with the same corporate culture. If you hire from certain colleges, they will all come with certain kind of expectations and camaraderie. Similarly, gender, right? So we've always believed that we do want diversity in the organization. However, we also kept skills and attitude as core, and we had a minimum bar of, if you're not able to solve problems using some technology, whatever the technology is, then you may not fit in this group. And if your attitude is not open to learn or flexible to grow, then you may not fit into the group. If you come with the attitude saying, I am the expert of this technology and you guys are going to use my skills, then you may not fit in this group, because we've seen technologies going up and down. We started a company when Hadoop was really hot, and then we saw Hadoop going up and going down, and cloud staying and various things, AI, and since a long time we've seen the whole machine learning and generative AI and all that. So it's very, very important to learn different technologies, be able to have an open mindset. Now, in terms of diversity, right? So when we started in Pune, for first few years, I intentionally did not support having a diversity hiring program, because I believed we are openly advertising all our roles to everybody. We are openly approaching everybody. Skilled people and willing people will apply, or we will call everybody and we'll find the right people in. However, over a period of time, we also realize that hey, there are people who are not as lucky as we are, having similar support system or having similar confidence level, or they need some extra help to get into the proper corporate culture. So we did devise a program for diversity hiring, and it was meant for women to come back to workforce. So people who took long breaks because of family reasons, for them to come back to workforce. Even for that, we did not lower our bar for the entry. So whatever jobs they were doing before the break, we would interview on those skill sets, and we will make sure that they were good at whatever they were doing at that time. And of course, the attitude and aptitude, willingness to learn, etc., etc. And then we came up with a training program, mentorship program, and so on for them. We saw good success, and we saw many people who joined after maybe 10 years as well. My advice to whoever is working on diversity: don't lower the bar for skills and attitude. Everything else can follow.
So, Ayush, to your question, what organizations can really do, and also what can line managers, irrespective whether they are male or female, in order to promote females working in the next space, would be three things. One is challenge them. Second is, as she rightly mentioned, help them to get right mentorships and skilling programs. And third, most important, give them opportunities without having any biases, apprehensions, any inhibitions about their capabilities. And this will really help the budding women who really want to, who are STEM educated and really want to get into the space of tech leadership. They are also doing a lot more in order to get into this particular space. They will find out their opportunities, but that supporting environment in large organizations, small, mid-sized organizations, and the attitude of the line managers, male, female, definitely is going to help them to take that next leap in their careers. That's what I think.
Challenge them. So I was pregnant with my second daughter, and I joined a new organization. And within 2 weeks, I had to actually tell them that, look, I'm pregnant. And I just found out then. It was not like I was hiding or something, but I just found out that time that I was pregnant. But I said, look, I plan to come. Like I plan to work all 9 months, and I had done that with my first daughter also. So in fact, and I was like whether I should tell them or not. Let them like define my role first, but I said, no, look, let me tell them. And that didn't change anything. I was put in a equally challenging role where I dealt with really tough stakeholders, difficult delivery timelines, and my entire sort of pregnancy was stressful, but I really enjoyed it. So I think there are organizations who do that, right? So I just wanted to share the experience.
So in introspection, you found that was good because they basically treated you equally and not creating a bias. Great. So Manisha, you want to ask any last question before we turn to the audience?
I guess that to conclude what you all said is culture is all about value system, and I feel that in that department, women are slightly ahead of the other gender counterpart. Because if your kid is misbehaving, more than the average people would say कि माँ ने कुछ सिखाया नहीं है क्या. That's the way people perceive it. So I feel that women are extremely good at imbibing the value system, at the same time percolating it to the people who are associated with it. So that kind of really stands out. So the last question, of course, is for the audience here to learn. Is it based on your experience? What do you think are the current trends and opportunities which could help the audience pick up those and carve out their future, which maybe looks like you all sitting here or maybe better than that?
First thing first is that when you talk about tech careers, it's not only about coding. Each one of us understands that because there are many verticals within engineering, within
software space, within the tech space that you can actually explore. So for those budding women who want to get into tech careers, yeah, if you love coding, get into that because that's where you start and then you grow. But there's immense opportunities in a lot of other diversified tech fields like the data space, right? Data engineering, data scientists, data cloud platforms. You talk about it, and there is immense innovation that's happening in that space, and people are looking forward for building their careers there. Second is the cybersecurity space. I think that is one space where anybody with very minimal kind of a background, with no background of tech, can enter into. So therefore, somebody who wants to get into the space of cybersecurity in kind of security spaces, not only with respect to cyber but intelligence and a lot of other kind of stuff that's happening. That's another budding space, and that is a trend that is moving towards. There are some emerging technologies on the other, on the other side of the technology world where things are growing. They are not in the space where everything is happening in most organizations, but they're at least getting themselves ready. Like the quantum computing or the metaverse space, etc. That's a new space to explore. I'm just giving you a couple of things that are trending today and where there is a lot of traction happening and people can look forward for careers in those roles. Apart from that, there's a lot that's happening in the product world. Very interesting. I myself feel that there's a lot of challenging stuff and roles that you have as a product owner, as a product manager, as a technical program manager, where you become a technical, you are responsible for technical dependencies between the engineering and the product teams. So when you speak about being in tech leadership or tech roles for women, it's not only about coding. I have seen in my experience that there are far more brilliant women tech leaders or people who are interested in tech careers who don't love to code, but they can do a lot of stuff. Program management or managing an entire account technically, knowing the nuances of it and doing that kind of tech leadership. Because please understand that when we talk about tech leadership, it is actually a team sport. So getting people together as a clan and working towards some common goal congruence, and when you do a phenomenal program management of having this tech, prod and people management kind of concepts coming together is something which is evolving. So there are multiple spaces, disciplinaries and verticals within the tech space which women can definitely explore. And similarly for the men, I have already told that most organizations are moving towards data. Data is gold. We have been hearing this for quite some time, and a lot of things happening in emerging spaces as well. So there's enough on the platter that we could explore. She's summarizing so well. One thing I won't mention a list of technologies. I'll touch upon something else that I had said earlier. Technologies come and go. So whatever you're doing, whether you've been a JavaScript engineer, Angular developer, data engineer, data scientist, data analyst, product manager, anything, right? You have to make sure there is one field that you feel you really know in the ins and outs of that field. Like I said, anything. It could be .NET engineering. It could be DevOps. Make sure there is one area that you can sort of call yourself that I know this field. I have seen this evolve. If somebody comes to me and asks about how to solve this in a new problem area, I will be able to put a solution together and talk about how to do that. Right? However, you have to broaden your perspective. You have to know what are the peripheral things around that technology, around that expertise area, in order to actually make a change happen in software, in technology industry. So we also, for a new, any new software to be launched, so if you've read about Khanmigo, maybe you know because you're in this field, right? Khanmigo is a software by Khan Academy, and it allows a smart tutor for students and a smart tutor for teachers. It's using generative AI ChatGPT. Now, for any organization to launch anything like this, you need software engineers, you need UI engineers, you need data scientists, you need subject matter expert of learning and development. You need architects, you need API engineers, so all sorts, cloud engineers, right? So there is demand for each and every field in technology as of now. So don't have FOMO, don't feel like if you're not into any of these AI or data or any hot technology trends, that you won't have growth path. You can be a front-end engineer and still grow into leadership roles, right? So what's important is to be really good at what you do, to understand the peripheral aspects, to contribute to those whenever you have opportunity. If you're an engineer, you get a scrum master responsibility, take it up. Don't say I am already busy and I don't want to do this. If you get to wear a product manager's hat sometime, take it up. That's great. All of those experiences count in your holistic growth. And once you get into leadership role, all of those experiences will count. Then it is very important to stay technology agnostic, like you mentioned, right? In an organization, especially in large organizations, or if you have a startup and once you grow, you will see that you have to deal with multiple technologies. So you need to be able to abstract the gist of it. You need to be able to draw parallels of this is what this rule engine does, and this is not just another flavor of rule engine, but it is solving the same common problem underneath, right? So ability to go beyond a particular technology, understanding the breadth of things, and being able to solve business problems. That is ultimately what we all need to do as technologists. If you're not solving business problems, then what is the use of technology, right? So no matter what your field is, I will say go deeper, make sure that you're really making an impact, and use every single bit of opportunity to go broad and then up in your role, wherever you are, in your organization, outside, wherever you are. So that's my advice for upcoming leaders. And again, this is common to men, women, anybody in this space.
So I would say two things, right? So I've worked only in banking. So from a banking perspective, right, what's changing now is that banks are yeah, there's a culture of a product mindset coming in the banks, right? So it's no more projects being run, but it's products being built, right? So when you say a product mindset, then everything from design thinking to UI to UX to different technologies that you need, all of that comes in, right? So from a banking culture perspective, it's no more the regular, let's build things and let's run projects. So it's the product mindset, right? That's coming in. So all skills around that are more than welcome. The other bit is banks. There's always a constant tussle over buy versus build. Whether you build something, but all the other banks are building it, right? So there's a lot of investment that's happening on the buy side, which means people are actually looking for fintech products that we can kind of integrate with our ecosystem, which is the most complex part, right? Or there are areas where consortiums are being formed by various banks, big banks, and they are asking the leaders, the product leaders in those areas to build products, and not for one bank, for everybody, because everybody is trying to solve those problems, right? So I would say, the banking world is massively changing. It's getting a product mindset. They're going and talking to a lot of fintechs to get in the products. The complexity comes in with the integrations with our systems, right? So I think those are the areas where, so the SME understanding, the functional understanding of the whole banking world, how the systems work, how do you kind of integrate a legacy system to a next gen product. So all of those are the areas which people should start thinking of and looking at.
So I think you ladies summarized it very well. I don't have anything new to add in terms of emerging technologies, right? We have a lot of information out there. We can find out. I think important thing is to know what is it that you are going to love doing. It's okay, fine. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain. There are a lot of technologies out there. But is that something that you see yourself doing for a long time? Is something that you need to evaluate? And my advice is be an expert at whatever you pick up. Right? You should be the go-to person for your leadership when it comes to that. That's very important. The other thing is technology can take you to a certain level, right? Maybe mid-management. But when you are wanting to climb up that ladder further, it's communication skills that are very important. So maybe I'm maybe diverging from what you asked, but I thought it's a very important point. Unfortunately, we still call communication skills as a soft skill, but believe me, after a certain level, it's not really a soft skill. It is something which is a must-have, because when you are in those forums, you are the ones who has to sell the work that you've done. You have to be an advocate for yourself, and that's when people notice you and think about you when the next opportunity comes up. And this is from my own experience, because I was always of the mindset that I'm doing my job well, I'm technically very good, how come my boss cannot see it? Why do I have to talk about it? It's right in your front. But that doesn't happen in the real world. It's up to you to do the good work and then go and talk about the good work. Find opportunities to talk about what you've done, and that's what makes you noticeable and helps you get to the position. And the other thing is, find sponsors for yourself. We always talk about mentorship, that find a mentor, get mentored. But what beyond that? You need sponsors who will be your advocates and pitch and endorse your skills and help you get to the next position that you are aspiring for. So build your network, find sponsors inside and outside the organization, and talk more about the work you're doing. And of course, do good work, that comes first. Talking is next. So that's some tips from my side.
Pooja. So thank you all of you ladies basically, because all great points. We touched upon pretty much a good spectrum of things, and at startup